What's up to Lion Talk Live? So we love you too, buddy.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
I love nothing more than watching Lions Talk Live every morning. Woo!
Woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Hey, Lions Talk Live, and we're starting off the week. It is a Monday show edition. We got a little bit of news that I'm sure you guys all know that came out yesterday. It's different wires, outlets, etc., that perhaps the Detroit Lions are looking to make a couple additional deals before the start of the regular season. Will this happen? I don't know. It's speculation at best. We'll have some of this during the main topic today. We'll have some of it during the 5 headlines now. But let's be honest, it's the offseason. Different publications, whether it's ESPN, whether it's Sports Illustrated, whether it's whoever else you want to list, they got to come up with stuff to talk about. Whether there's validity to any of these, I'll leave that to each and every one of us to digest on our own and come up to their own determinations. Do I think the Lions have had some conversations for Trey Hendrickson? Sure, of course they have. Probably every team in the NFL has. Have they talked about trading Alex Anzalone? Could be. I really don't personally know. I just know that what we're going to talk about. Are they going to trade Hendon Hooker? This one, I would say we will cover this one a little bit more during the main topic of the day, but I wouldn't be surprised. Here's probably what I would say. I won't be surprised if Lions do look to upgrade every position on the roster, not just backup quarterback, not just defensive end, not just linebacker, but everything. And some of those talks are going to involve Hendon Hooker. We'll have to see if there is any kind of validity to it, but there are rumors and innuendos going out there after yesterday. The Detroit Lions have had some conversations with a few different teams about their backup quarterback position. Is this a damning statement about Hendon Hooker? I don't know. Is it they just simply want more competition? That is possible. Or could it be the opposite, that they're having conversations about Hendon Hooker because other teams want Hendon Hooker? We'll dive into that all during the main top of the day. Before we get into that, though, you guys all know the drill. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We'll just say 80 subs away from hitting 13,900 subs. So if you can assist with that, that would be most welcome and great. Also, if you have a half second of time, reach on down, hit that thumbs up button, that like button, hit all the buttons. As you probably know, if you've watched YouTube for more than 15 minutes, every time a channel gets any kind of interaction with a share, a thumbs up, a like, a comment, whatever else you want to say, it just helps the channel grow, get out to more people who haven't discovered it. So we try to get every episode of the show between 200, 300, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Last but never least, if you are considering buying or selling property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, let alone the continental United States, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text. You now see the number on the screen, 269-998-2384. We can have a conversation. I can tell you what I can do to use over 30 years in the industry to save you some time, save you some hassle, save you some money, make the process of buying or selling property much easier, and try to make sure nobody overcharges you. This can be for commercial property, vacant land, housing, whatever it is. Go ahead and give me a call, shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. Also, with that all said, done, out of the way, let's get this show rocking and rolling and going and kicking it off with 5 headlines now. All right, 5 glorious headlines coming our way. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. All right, Pro Football Focus lists Lions with top safety duo. SI.com, story by Emmett Matowski. I think I'm close, but don't hold me on that. As we all know, my pronunciation skills are legendary. We'll put it that way. All right, and probably not a big shocking news here, but you have more and more of the national pundits kind of jumping on board. I'd say about halfway through last year, talking about the Detroit Lions legendary safety duo. In fact, I've got some stats for you. I forgot to put it on the screen, so you're going to have to give me a second to pull it on up. But the Detroit Lions, they are blessed to have one of the best secondaries out there. Well, I think we all get that and appreciate that. One of the things I did forget to put on the screen, I apologize, but I'll just read it to you guys. Fact came out yesterday. Somebody's always checking on different stats. How great. I want to hear you guys answer this question. If you had to say right now, based on 2 seasons in the NFL, how good is Brian Branch? Well, I'm going to help you out. Throw your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think he's in the NFL? Do you think he's a 10 out of 10, a 5 out of 10, a 7 out of 10, a 0 out of 10? I'm going to throw something at you that I wasn't aware of until about late yesterday when somebody threw this over to me. Fun fact about Brian Branch. Brian Branch is the only defensive back in the NFL the last 100 years to record a season with a 100-plus tackles, 15-plus pass breakups, and 5-plus tackles for loss. Game record indeed. So, the fact that somebody is able to Scooby-Doo this and analyze all the stats out there, get out there and find that, maybe we're not giving Brian Branch enough credit. Now, remember in yesterday's video, for those who watched it yesterday, Dave Burkett, Detroit Free Press, we covered it, the all, 21st century team. So year 2000 to present. Brian Branch did not make that list. He was a backup, I guess you could say, on it. Kirby Joseph was on the list. Brian Branch wasn't. Glover Quinn, beat out Brian Branch. And I'm not saying that's right, wrong, or different. I'm not here to debate that. But let that sink in. Brian Branch in 2 seasons has achieved something nobody else in the last century has been able to do. That's pretty impressive if you ask me. Now, going back to the story, you look at the grades on both Branch and Kirby Joseph. Praise is warranted. Joseph being recognized as the reigning interception king in the NFL. We also he was to some extent up for Defensive Player of the Year. Brian Branch, dude's just incredibly versatile. I mean, can he rush the quarterback? Yes. Can he get in the backfield and stop running backs? Absolutely. Can he guard wide receivers in the slot, outside wide, over the top, everywhere on the field? This cat is just extraordinary. And let's not forget, the Lions were able to trade up and get him in the 2nd round. You want to talk about character? I know I talk about that a lot when it comes to the type of players that we bring into the Detroit Lions franchise. Remember, when Brian Branch wasn't drafted in the 1st round, everybody else who was kind of in the same boat took off, went back home, didn't want anything to be with being on stage or whatever for round 2. The one guy who sat around said, you know what, I'm going to endure my pain. I'm going to get my moment. I'm going to wait for somebody to draft me so I can walk on that stage, was Brian Branch. And to me, that speaks volumes about who internally a person is. I think, man, he's somebody I would enjoy going to war with, etc., because he's out there doing everything needed to help the team, help the schemes, whatever. These guys are both incredibly rare. And if you have free time today, this week, or whatever, go check out this story. Again, it's on SI.com or Detroit Lions on SI.com. So you can go to Sports Illustrated. Emmett Matowski with this one. And you know what? It just goes through so many different layers about why each of these guys are so great. Kirby Joseph, I've said it a ton of times on this show. Prior to about halfway through this last season, I would have said he's easily, if he's not in the top 5, he's somewhere right around there. Top 5 single high safety, zone coverage safety in the NFL. And then you can see he kept elevating to where, at least in my opinion, as a biased Lions fan, he's probably the top 2, if not number 1 overall in that regard. But also about halfway through last season, his man-to-man coverage skills, his ability to get in the backfield, whether it was just opportunity afforded to him by former defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, I don't know. But whatever you want to say, he came through in a big way and really developed his skills. Now just a all-around player. I'm going on way too long with this headline, so let's get on to the next one. Sorry about that. All right, evaluating NFL analysts' latest Lions offer for star defensive end. You can probably guess who this is. SI.com story by John Macron. So, yes, more and more publications yesterday came out and said the Detroit Lions are still kind of negotiating with the Cincinnati Bengals for defensive end Trey Hendrickson. I don't know if this guy's ever going to get traded from the team. I don't know if he's ever going to be a Lion or somebody else. Could he go to the Green Bay Packers, the Philadelphia Eagles, or I don't know, the Rough Riders of the CFL? I have no clue. What I do know is the latest trade offer, it's not horrible. ESPN, this analyst over there said the Lions would send a 2026 second-round pick and a conditional 27 fourth-round pick could turn into a third for Cincinnati, while the Lions would acquire Hendrickson and a 2026 fifth-round pick. To be honest, if that was the case, I wouldn't be mad at it. The hard part is, as we all know, Lions, while they have a gajillion dollars under the cap this year, I think they're trying to keep that money so they can segue a lot of it into next year, where right now, currently as we stand, the Lions do absolutely nothing else. When they get in next year, they're going to have about $50 million over the cap. But if they can take some of this $40 million, slide it over there, that will help alleviate the burden. I think we all get it. Hendrickson would be an upgrade for this defensive line, especially getting after the quarterback, the opposite defensive end spot other than Aiden Hutchinson. Will the Detroit Lions and Brad Holmes pull off this stunning move? I have no clue, but it's fun to speculate, I guess, during the offseason. All right, this one is probably one most of us weren't aware of, but Delta Airlines increased flights for Detroit Lions fans during away games through 2025 season. Lions will play an extra away game this year. This is Click on Detroit. So this is a Detroit-based website, media outlet, however you want to rephrase it. They cover all things, not just sports, not just government, but anything Detroit related. So in a nutshell, what does this headline all mean? Delta Airlines is very aware, apparently, that people in Detroit want to go watch Lions games. They started this last year. They're continuing it this year, and they're taking it up a level this year. If you live in Metro Detroit and you want to go watch one of the away games for the Detroit Lions, they are now offering more flights to those destinations to accommodate Lions fans. Let that also be something we all understand. Delta Airlines is a for-profit entity. They're only doing this if they feel they can make money. So they clearly identified there's a big enough demand in roughly the Detroit area for Lions fans to get on a plane, pay for that ticket, and get out to those destinations to watch those games live. So you know what? That means Lions fans, we travel well. All right, next to the 5 glorious headlines now. Detroit Lions Kirby Joseph talks 2025 season at Michigan International Speedway Total Apex Sports by Matt Brown. I'm not going to go into the whole shebang of this, just to say, hey, Kirby Joseph's out there doing stuff. You see more and more Lions Lions team members going out and supporting area sports, and that's not just the Tigers or Red Wings, but yes, International Speedway, Michigan's International Speedway. Kirby Joseph talked about Dan Campbell, how he knew he was struggling after the Washington game. The team was struggling after it. How emotional the team was after that. They understood that they kind of dropped the ball on it. Yes, there's a lot of reasons for it. Not going to relive all that. You guys get it. Talked also about his greatest career moment this past year. And then also the one that he said was number one above everything. That was picking off Aaron Rodgers' final pass at Lambeau Field with the Green Bay Packers. Talked about a ton of different stuff. Also talked about getting guys back this year, the motivation of the team. He basically reiterated what we heard St. Brown talk about a week ago. We're just saying, hey, it's Super Bowl or bust this season. The entire team is focused on it. Kirby Joseph said there's a number of the veterans on the team bringing everybody together this offseason, workouts, get-togethers, whatever, and saying, hey, our focus is this day one of training camp. It is resonating throughout the entire team. What St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, Kirby Joseph are all mentioning. This team has got a razor-like focus entering this season. They want the Super Bowl. They understand they were probably denied last year. They understand the season before that they probably missed a bit of an opportunity, and they don't want any distractions. If you're going to be on this 53-man roster, they're letting everybody know, as captains, the expectation is this, and you don't do anything to upset that expectation. All right, last of the 5 headlines now. Concern level for Lions offensive line. Detroit Lions on SI by Vito Cerrito. So he goes through a lot of different stuff. How good can the Detroit Lions offensive line be this year? Christian Boer starts off this conversation, says, yes, Graham Glasgow is incredibly experienced, could be the guy that replaces Frank the Tank Ragnow. However, we all get it. His performance last year wasn't the greatest. Ratledge, he does go on to say, has looked pretty good at center this limited amount of work they've had in rookie OTAs, etc., all that stuff. Vito Cerrito thinks that the Lions offense line will take a step back, but they could ultimately be better by the end of the season than what we saw last year because stuff we've talked about for ad nauseum for weeks now. Lions offensive line has the potential to be one of the more athletic, if not the most athletic unit in the NFL. Bigger, faster, stronger. Now coach them up. Tate Ratledge, they go on to analyze that board, gives his thoughts on it. Schredo gives his thoughts. Schredo, in a nutshell, kind of summarize. Board thinks that Ratledge will turn out to be the starting center. Schredo thinks Graham Glasgow will start as that, but will probably give way somewhere during the season to Ratledge. Who knows on that? Both of them did get asked about Alex Anzalone. Will he get a new deal this year? Boris says basically he thinks it's logically very possible that Anzalone gets it, but he also understands the Lions organization does not like players going out there and posting stuff on social media as far as any kind of in-house stuff. Not impressed with that. Says that could ultimately kill an opportunity for Anzalone to get an extension. Schrader goes on and thinks Anzalone deserves a new deal based on his performance here, especially the last 2 seasons. But he does say that, kind of like we just spoke about, that he's putting the franchise in a bad spot because this is something they have clear information on to all Lions players. You keep the stuff off social media. You keep it in-house. We deal with it between you and I, or the franchise and the player, and don't, basically air dirty laundry. So they do both think that the Lions might end up not giving him a new deal because of it. We're going to have to wait and see in time what shakes out with that. All right, went on way too long with the 5 headlines now. Let's get over to the main topic of the day. All right, main topic of the day. You guys can see it in the thumbnail. The Lions are shopping him, ? Could it be the Lions are shopping Alex Anzalone? It's possible. We've already kind of talked about this very point here just moments ago. Could it be that they move on from him? Personally, I hope not, but he is kind of changing or fighting some of the Lions' policies. We get it. Both sides are kind of digging in. If there are conversations happening between his representation, Alex Anzalone's representation, and the Lions, it is definitely happening behind closed doors. I personally hope everything gets worked out. The probably bigger topic, and we talked about this during the opening monologue, is in Hendon Hooker. The Detroit Lions are either at least talking to other teams about potentially trading him. Now the question becomes, is that an attempt for other teams to view Hendon Hooker as an opportunity to improve their backup spot or maybe even push for a starting spot, or that the Lions just don't believe he's a backup here in Detroit behind Jared Goff? Both can be true. Both can be wrong. Here's what I'll say. In the last 2 weeks, we've heard a lot of different reports coming out of Detroit from different sources, some off the record, some on the record, saying Hendon Hooker is struggling a little bit to pick up the nuances of the new offense. Now, we didn't hear that last year nor the year before with Ben Johnson's offense. We are also hearing that Ben Johnson is struggling over in Chicago, getting some of his players on that. How much of this is just, hey, new offense, new system, guys need time to digest it all? How much of it is Hendon Hooker? Maybe he's near the end of his time in Detroit. You can have thoughts either way. I'm not here to say one way is right, one way is wrong. I'm just here to give you the news. Here's my personal thoughts. You guys can offer yours. I would not trade Hendon Hooker. Now, I'm not coaching him. I don't watch him every day on the practice field. So my amount of information I can give you is limited. Start with that. Ben Johnson, when he was working with him, probably has a pretty good idea what Hendon Hooker is and is not. John Morton, probably after, a month of working with him, probably has some information one way or the other. But when I look at Hendon Hooker, I think this. He's on the same plateau as Jared Goff right now, or any other quarterback here right now, because he's had the same amount of time to start digesting the verbal calls, the adjustments, the line movements, the audibles, as anybody else. He's got that information in him. You're going to take him next month into training camp. You know what? He's going to get even more. If you trade him now, unless it's just clearly an upgrade over him, then you know what? That guy's starting a month behind everybody else. And at the quarterback position, more than almost any other position, I would not play with that fire. Whoever you were to bring in over Hendon Hooker, in my view, doesn't have to be yours, would have to be, if Hendon Hooker's a 6 out of 10, that guy better be an 8 or a 9 out of 10, because he's going to be a month behind. Can you make it up? Yes. Do I want to mess with that if I'm a coach? No, I wouldn't. I also look at Hooker and go, he's got so many physical skills going for him. I wouldn't want to unload him, not unless it's just an offer you can't refuse if you're the Detroit Lions. But what say you do, crew? would you, if you're Brad Holmes, would you look to move on from Hendon Hooker? Would you look to upgrade that spot? The kid's got wheels. The kid's got a cannon. The kid's got framework. I mean, he's got the whole shebang. If you were another NFL team, would you want to trade for him? And in what capacity? Are there NFL teams out there you think would actually look at him as a starting quarterback or as a backup quarterback? Would his situation exponentially improve for his NFL career if he went somewhere else? Jared Goff, unless it's something really none of us want to talk about happening to him, he's probably not losing the starting spot anytime soon. Hendon Hooker then isn't becoming the starting quarterback anytime soon. One of the other things I know a lot of you guys analyze when it comes to Hendon Hooker is last year in the playoff game, okay, we all get it, Teddy Bridgewater became the backup quarterback. Is that because a lack of trust in Hendon Hooker, or is it because Teddy Bridgewater simply, he had like 8 years as a starting quarterback at some level in the NFL, and the Lions coaching staff said, hey, instead of letting you play your very first real meaningful snaps, Hendon Hooker, in an NFL game, in a playoff game, we'd rather have Teddy Bridgewater, who's been there and done that, do it. I don't know. You could Scooby-Doo this thing left and right, but the other thing I'd throw at you right now, if you had to say there were areas that the Lions could still improve upon before training camp begins in 6 weeks or whatever it is, 5 weeks for this team, what would it be? I'm guessing most of you would say the quarterback position, or at least the depth at the quarterback position. I know Pierce and some other people say you got to improve over in Davenport for the other defensive end. Other than that, I'm not really sure what else you would improve upon. There might have been questions about the cornerback spot, but the more and more intel we get from the Lions coaches and those watching OTAs, sounds like the Lions cornerback spot actually might be one of the deepest in the league. We'll have to see what you guys have to say. All right, hopefully you guys like the new intro. I spent a little time on that, and let me tell you, it's a whole lot easier running one of these shows than it is making an intro because the amount of editing and time, lining up everything it takes with it. I have fun with it, though, so I'll probably make another one or two before the season actually begins. All right, Duke Crew, let's get to you. Michael D, greetings, salutations, Coach and Duke Crew, ! One pride, woo, and back at you. Hopefully you guys like the Ric Flair woo in that, by the way. JDC, morning all, and same to you. Robert, greetings and salutations. Always good to see you, my friend. Bo, good morning, Duke Crew. Shop till you drop, ? Woo! To your point, and I guess we should probably just say this, Brad Holmes is always looking to improve the team. That dude never sleeps. He never stops. Him, the scouting department. Remember, there are two scouting departments. There's a collegiate scouting department for every NFL team. There's an in-league scouting department for every NFL team. The difference is one of them focuses just on the NFL teams. If somebody gets cut or whatever released, where do we want to pick them up or not? The other one is the collegiate one, looking at the college players. All right, let's see. Pierce, one other guy I wish would be shopped, but we won't get a half drink can of Mountain Dew for him. Hey, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully that guy pans out this year. I'm rooting for him. Robert, Dan, is it possible to get Jen on to speak about wellness, fitness, and other importance of hydration? Probably could at some time, but the hard part is, Robert, just because it's not Lions content created or not Lions area stuff, it's just hard to fit it into a Lions show. For those who don't know, the wife, she's a workout warrior, a fitness person, helps people really in a lot of different ways and not just with weights or whatever. But I know, Robert, I guess since you put it out there, Robert has been using, if I'm not mistaken, Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, some of Jen's peptides and stuff. And I know they've had conversations. Sounds like, Robert, you're noticing it's really helped you out exponentially. So I'll let you address that in the comment section, though. I don't want to speak for you. Voltron Force, good morning, crew. Trade Hooker and upgrade the defense end spot. Some people will go with that. Now, what could you get for Hendon Hooker? That might be the big question. I'll tell the Hunt, Pierce, you shouldn't talk that way about Alex Anzalone. Yeah, let's keep it. I like Alex Anzalone. I hope we keep him. I hope we don't ship him out. But we'll see where both sides go with things. Pat, so is Hooker just not good? ? I wonder that last year when Bridgewater was made the backup for the playoffs. I think he is. I just think he's inexperienced. But you also need to understand when I say that, I don't watch the guy 7 days a week in practice and all that other stuff for the past few years. So my amount of information I have on him is really limited. I liked what I saw last preseason. When he got in the regular season towards the end of the games, those were blowouts. They were mostly just handoffs. The defenses he would have been facing at that point probably weren't really, going balls to the wall trying to get after him. So both teams were probably just trying to end the game. Pierce, Attila Hunt, I think we both know I'm not talking about Anzalone. That is probably true. Laughing out loud. Steve Rogers, Danport for defensive MVP. Wouldn't that be something if he won the team or even the league MVP this year? Oh, Danport did it. That is true. DDI. Pierce, Bo Booth, yes, DDI. Trim Reaper, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew, starting lineup. Woo! And back at you, Trim. Hopefully you're having a good day and hopefully you had a good weekend. Five fingers ready. You guys now have me rooting for Danport this year. 100%. 100%. I get that. I'm rooting for anybody who's wearing a Lions uniform because that helps the team. Henry Moore, good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke Crew. What a team. What a podcast. Exclamation point. What a time. Be a Lions fan. Woo! And back at you. Quitting. Greetings, sanitation, y'all. Man, oh man, don't trade Hooks. Then we need a backup quarterback. That would be the other aspect. If you trade him away, does the Adams kid, are you just, do you think he can be the sound answer at backup quarterback if need be? Or is that an indication that we're looking to bring somebody in? Both could be true or wrong. Pierce, five figures ready. If he does well, the Lions do well. But when expectations are just play half a season, that's bad. It is, but you could probably say I guess how I would look at Pierce is what's his upside versus downside. My opinion, only you already know his downside. His downside is he doesn't play because he's always injured. But the upside is if he can stay healthy, how productive can he be? Wait and see. So, NFC North win prediction total, team by team, ready, set, go. Let me know your thoughts. Robert, I would suspect that Hooker may have an issue making decisions under pressure. I am sure he is an amazing athlete. What do you think, Dan? That's the hard part, Robert, just because we haven't really seen him in any kind of real formal NFL level playoff situations or playing situations. Again, preseason stuff, I like what we saw last year, but it's preseason. You know, if you throw a pick six, it's not really going to impact anything other than maybe you're standing on the team. There might be some pressure on him this year because he might be aware if the team really is thinking about moving on from him, there's some pressure for him to perform to remain on this NFL roster, if not others. Five fingers ready. Lions 12, Minnesota 9, Green Bay 9. Ooh, Chicago 7. Hey, Chicago's almost... they're getting closer to the Mendoza line, 500. Trim Reaper, 4 letters, exclamation point, 1 word, ugh, yet. All right, I'm down with that. Jim, do we really want or need Sanders? Question mark. Why does the media want HH out of Detroit? I think it's just stuff to talk about. To your point, I didn't even think about that to just now. Yeah, Shedeur Sanders, there was some sort of article yesterday. I saw it pop up on the screen. I didn't read it about Lions trading for Shedeur Sanders. I don't think that's even a remote possibility. My personal opinion, I think the Cleveland Browns love their situation they have now. Somebody's going to win that spot. Somebody's going to, rise on up. You got a bunch of guys fighting for their NFL careers, fighting to prove themselves with a couple of these rookies. It doesn't really impact us, so I'm going to say, hey, I'm rooting for them all over in Cleveland. Stephanie, good morning, boys. Exclamation point. I am hoping Hooker steps up this year. Being a backup, we may never know if he's developing or not just because we don't see him play often. Yeah, I'll go with that. Dre, what's good, Duke Crew? Question mark. At Jim, I think it's just the next guy is assumed to be better, than the current guy. Same with fans that want Goff gone. To your point, I think you're spot on with it. We all assume there's the next person coming in is always going to be better, right? What if they're not? I know to your point, Dre, there's always been a lot of fans that say, man, we need to get rid of Goff, get better. Who are you going to get that you know is better? People saying the draft. Man, let me tell you, drafting a quarterback is as big a flip of the coin if that person's going to be good or not. Go back year by year and just do the last 5 years, last 10 years. How many of the top 10 drafted quarterbacks really work out? Not many at all. So the draft at that position, maybe more than anything else in pro sports, is a real crapshoot. Bo, and it's a big if, trade talks are going on about HH, who is it with? Yeah, that's a good question because at this point, I would assume if you needed a quarterback, you addressed it in the draft. Now, injuries happen in training camp or something. I could see with that changing things. But, everybody's talking about this guy's interested, that guy's interested. Why would they be interested now is my thought, unless they've already seen enough out of that rookie quarterback that they're moving on from. But you've really only had OTAs. I would think you would give them a little bit more time than that. Jess, greetings, salutations, Dooku. Are we trading AA also? Question mark. I'm starting to feel we might. I think it's a possibility if Alex Anzalone is really going to put a line, dig in, line in the sand or whatever, and say, hey, I get a new deal or I'm not touching the field, then the Lions probably will look to move off of them. Drake, this next month will be the slowest of the year news-wise for teams, so get ready for it 100%. You got OTAs done. Most teams aren't doing anything else for about the next 3 to 4 weeks. So some teams, Lions would normally be in this conversation. You have a couple day, I want to say it's like a 4-day workout, but the Lions don't have that because they get into camp earlier for the Hall of Fame game. So yes, for Lions content or news, it will be a slow stretch this next month. I'll do what I can to make stuff every day, but understand, it will be a slower news cycle. Gary, morning, Duke Crew, and back at you. Hookadoo, what did Davenport do now, Pierce? Ooh, that's a good question. France, hey, Coach, ever considered covering other sports on the show? Not on this show, but for those who don't know, I did spend about, near 30 years as a journalist, reporter, mostly on sports, not always on sports, and covered every sport out there, man. But Lions Talk Live is going to remain about the Detroit Lions. We might mention briefly here and there other stuff, but I'm not going to cover it to any kind of real depth. All right, Brett, I'm hoping I'm for keeping Hooker in the D. I thought this preseason was going to be his chance to show development. I think so. I'm eager to watch not just Hendon Hooker, but a lot of the guys this preseason because, again, I think we're so deep across the board. You got a real opportunity from a coaching standpoint to see some growth and development. By the way, I'm going to give a plug or a shout out to the Paw Paw Red Wolves softball team. They won the regionals. They're in the quarterfinals tomorrow in Battle Creek. I'm cheering them on. Tonight, we basketball-wise, we have our first preseason scrimmage, and because of it, we're bringing up a lot of incoming freshmen because there's like 6 or 7 kids who play on that softball team. They're not going to be allowed to touch a basketball today. They need to focus on potentially going to win a state championship. So shameless plug and shout out to those kids. But to my point, these other kids now get an opportunity to play more, develop more, see what they can do because the other kids are gone. All right, Hookadoo. Morning, man of grit, Mr. Brett DeWitt. There you go. Morning, everybody in the Duke crew. Brett, good morning, Hookadoo. Grit wins, doesn't it always, my friend? Clark, improve the defensive end starter and backup quarterback, and I feel very comfortable saying this is the Super Bowl winning team in 2026. When you get far enough in the playoffs, throw the records out the window. It doesn't matter because if you made it to the second or third round of the playoffs, I think we get it about any sport. You're there for a reason. You're clearly pretty good. I think the Lions definitely are one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl this year, and they should be. You think about going 15-2 last year with basically only 2 starters on your defense still out there. Maybe it was 3, whatever it is. You get it. They were pretty beat up. And the fact that you were doing that and only lost that playoff game by 6 points, despite all the turnovers and miscues or whatever, that needs to just probably tell us all how deep and respected that team was last year. All right, Tori, keep Hooker so we don't fall behind with training any of the quarterbacks in Morton's offense. Could be that. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Trim River, don't forget to elbow drop that like and subscribe buttons. Exclamation point. Oh, yeah. And thank you for that. Robert, do not forget the importance of the Tree of Destiny. Yes, we haven't seen Jason in a minute. I know some of you guys asked me to check it on Hookadoo. I did text him or have some text with him last Wednesday. So I'm assuming, not Hookadoo, Moonscar. I'm assuming he's okay. Jason, I haven't seen in a minute, maybe a couple weeks. And I think he just kind of jumps in every once in a while this time of year. Pierce, Hookadoo caused Anzalone's holdout. Made my boss take a PTO. I'm down with that. Jerome, morning, Coach, and back at you. Let's see, Chuck. Good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke crew. Exclamation point, and back at you. Susan, so small. I'll guess we get 13 wins. Packers are 10. Chicago 8, and Vikings 6. Vikings, man, I think they're going to be the biggest wild card in the NFC or even the NFC North because if J.J. McCarthy, is a typical rookie, they're going to struggle, in my opinion. If he's not, though, I think they got enough talent on that team to really push and maybe even contend with us. I hope, obviously, for selfish reasons, JJ falls on his face 2 times a year, maybe 3 times if we were to play them 3 times. All right, Ogadu, when you are blowing another opponent out like the Bears, we need to put Hendon Hooker in and see what he's got. It might stop the what it if. All right, I'm done with that. And, yeah, give him some opportunities. Stephanie, 12 for Detroit, 9 for Green Bay, Vikings 8, and Chicago 7. Man, let's try to keep Chicago winless this year. Hookadoo, Pierce laughing. Vincent E, good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke crew. Woo! Back at you. Let's see, Man Bear, good morning all, and back at you. Hopefully you're having a good one, Man Bear. Bo, new intro, exclamation point. You are correct. I spent some time on that yesterday. Hopefully you guys liked it. Let me know your thoughts. Trim Reaper, there's absolutely no stopping in the white zone. No, there isn't. And yes, nice Airplane the movie reference. Hookadoo, nice. I like the new intro. Glad you like it. Miles Marker, good morning, all. Yay, Panthers finally beat Bama Stallions. Hey, good for them, man. And yeah, cheering them on for the championship. Joff, what do you got? Good morning, crew. Back at you, Joff. The Central Scrutinizer, good morning, Coach and Duke crew. Woo! And good to see you, my friend. Phil, good morning. As always, good to see you. Hookadoo, Miles Marker in the house to spread some grit. Oh, yeah, I'll take that. Xavier, good morning, Dan. Hopefully they will get better. At the end of the day, whether they trade people, whether they don't trade people, whether they sign people, whether they cut people, the end is one thing. Make the team better. And I think we're all agree on that, man. Vincent E., Hooker and Count N, not a good quarterback battle for quarterback two. We'll find out, man. Hopefully somebody rises to the occasion. Hassani Madi, good morning, Coach Dan. Gosh, hey, good morning or good afternoon to you. I know it's a little bit different time zone for you. I want to say, man, I'm trying to do the math in my head. I think you guys are about 8 hours, maybe it's 7 hours ahead of us. So, yeah, early afternoon. Miles Meyer, howdy, Hookadoo. Brett DeWitt, it's Grit Monday. You got to love the grit. Brett, morning, Miles Meyer. Big D, morning, crew. And to you, hey, Kate ain't pressed. I'm so tired of Bears fans. They think Ragnow left because he didn't like being on the team. Yeah, I don't think that had anything to do with it, man. I think it just father time and all the punishment he put on him. I want to say, don't hold me to this, but I want to say it was Ben Raven from MLive.com had a piece and a podcast or interview out like last Thursday or Friday where he talked about being in the locker room after games, watching Ragnow, talking to Ragnow, the training staff for the Lions. Just said, man, the last 2 years, that dude was so beat up. He could barely walk half the time, could barely lift. I think it was his left arm that had the torn pectoral muscle that he played through last year. He could barely get it over his shoulder. We all know about the endless amount of foot surgeries he had on that right big toe to the point the doctors, he went to like 3 or 4 different doctors to get different opinions. They all said the same thing. There's nothing else you could do for it. It is what it is. I think at the end of the day, Ragnow left his body on the field for this organization, did everything he could to help out, fight through injuries, and then he took whatever it was, 3-4 months off, from the end of the season to where we are now, and just said, I've got nothing left to give. And at some point, players, especially at the NFL or boxing, MMA, they got to make life decisions. He's a 29-year-old guy who's got a wife and family. What kind of life does he want the rest of his years with those kids? Does he want to be the guy stuck in the chair that just can't move around, play with his kids? I think he made probably the right call for him and his family. Xavier, I love this show. You know what? We love having you here, my friend, with an exclamation point. Michigan Panther Pride, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. I'm imagining you and all Panther fans are having a phenomenal day and going to have a good week going to have forward. JDC, Dre Forge rocks, and he rolls. Mary Smith, good morning, Duke Crew, and good morning, Duke Crew and Lions family. Hope everyone had a blessed weekend, and same to you, Mary. Hopefully you are doing well today. Brett, skip the Bears. We'll be skipping them. Hookadoo, Mr. Hassanin here to spread some grit. Good morning, Mr. Hassanin. There we go. Hookadoo, Mr. Hassanin here to spread. Yeah, I feel like I just read this, man. My bad. Michigan Panther Pride, can I get the biggest woo you have for our Michigan Panthers heading to the UFL Championship to dominate win over the Stallions? You know what? Let's give them a shout out. We probably need to give more shout outs, but here we go. We'll give them a shield. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, at least. Sometimes there's a delay. All right, Phil, congrats to our Panthers, 100%. Now we got to go cheer them on to win the championship. Let's see, Miles Martin, Michigan Panther Pride, great game yesterday. How was the watch party? We'll find out. JDC, woo! The Trim Reaper. The red zone is for immediate loading and unloading. Yes, it is. Is there still a red zone at airports? I don't know, man. Hookadoo, way to go, Panthers. Woo! Michigan Panther Pride. It was great, Miles Margaret. We packed DraftKings. There you go. Big D, good morning, Mr. Hassanin. Glad to have you and your son. Yes, indeed. I think, man, expectations for him. I like to temper him, but I do think we all get it. He's got some expectations going into training camp. Brent, go Panthers, exclamation point. Phil Branch is a 10. I will go with that. Coach Rock, good morning all, and back at you. Jess, seems that the Hooker trade rumors run contrary to Holmes' MO. While the silence on the topic is not unusual, what is the upside? Question mark. Who is the backup? Question mark. given the recent line shuffling, it would see. Okay, yeah, we'll have to wait and see, Jesse. I don't know. I'm just here reporting what's being out there or being reported out there. Go from there. Bo, BB is rare air. Yes, he is, man. Think about that when Brian Branch, I know we mentioned it during the 5 headlines, but he achieved something nobody else has done in 100 years. That's outstanding, if you ask me. Michigan Panther Brian, MBB will be in St. Louis this week. So excited. Yeah, you should be so excited. You're so excited. And all Panthers fans should be excited because you got a rare opportunity here. Go get it. Central Scrutinizer, BB is an assassin. Yes, I would agree. He's kind of like a ninja. Phil, Kirby is great because of Branch. I think, yeah, they complement each other real well, don't they? And I hope they just keep it going. Branch, I mean, we all get it. Kirby got paid. Branch is going to be up next, and then he's going to be up pretty soon, and I think he's going to get paid. Chuck, Branch is a 10 out of 10. He's always there and hitting hard. Yes, he is, man. I really still think to this, the NFL did us a little dirty, that flag and ejection they had in Green Bay. Wet fields, you can't ask guys to just kill their own bodies trying to get out of the way of hitting somebody in that kind of circumstance, but it is what it is. Xavier, he is one of the best, exclamation point, 10 out of 10. I'll take it. Miles Marker, it'll be fire all the way, exclamation point, Michigan Panther pride. I'm down with that. Jesse, it seems the recent line reshuffle that the quarterback number 2 spot would be the utmost importance. It would be. Now, where do they go with it? We're going to have to wait until training camp to probably really answer that question. Xavier, Joseph is just as good. I would agree with that. Cynthia, Brian Branch doesn't get enough credit. So glad there's a story on this cat. 10 out of 10. I'll take all that. Yeah, you could almost do a main topic of the day on each of those dudes, but hey, got them into the 5 headlines now. Jennifer, morning all, and with you, Phil, Brad took Branch right off the Packers plate. Yeah, I want to say, was that the first or second year in a row where Brad Holmes kind of leapfrogged a couple of things to make sure that you got somebody the Packers wanted and sent the Packers having to reshuffle. Mary, I'm all in on Brian Branch. I think he's going to have a good year alongside others on this Lions team. Let's go, Lions. I think you're right. And we talked about Kevin Shepard a little bit yesterday in the 5 headlines. Talk about the energy he's bringing. You've heard players kind of mention a little bit, but they don't go into specifics. They want to tip their hands about some subtle differences between Aaron Glenn and him on the defensive schemes. Maybe we're going to unleash Brian Branch a little bit more. I don't know, but I would say this. I think you play Brian Branch in any system in the NFL, and he's going to be just as successful. Troy Bieber, sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays. Might be true. Miles Margaret, BB is strong, solid, smart, 8 out of 10, but potential to be 10 out of 10. I'll take that. Mr. Detroit City, smash that like and sub buttons, exclamation point, and thank you for that. Black J.R. Jones, Dew Crew, good money, one pride, baby. Woo! And hey, hopefully you're having a good one as well. The Michigan Panther Bride, BB is the boss. He might be the boss of the Lions defense. He's one of the big stars out there for sure. Phil, Jennifer, good morning. And she's probably getting ready for her work day. Henry Moore, woo! Let's go Panthers. What a great game. Yes, it was. And, cheering them on. Hopefully they will got one more win in them this year. Derek, good morning, coach and crew. These Hendrickson rumors just won't go away. Do the clowns like Macron get a life and move on? The only thing I can say, Derek, is just the off season. These guys have to put out X amount of content to keep their job. Otherwise, bosses tend to get upset with them. So maybe it's that. Maybe they know something. I don't know. I think we all get that this storyline with Trey Hendrickson, it's getting a little bit old unless something happens, unless new information comes out. But wait and see. All right, Coach Rock Davenport is on the team, so I will support him throughout and hope he plays up to his capability. Yeah, if he can just stay healthy, I think he'll be pretty productive for us. Free for all, I'd rather they use the cap space to sign their current key players than squander it on Trey. Yeah, I think that's probably ultimately where we go free for all. One never knows, though. The Central Scrutinizer Hendrickson wants a multi-year big money contract. Based on that, I don't see him signing with Detroit, but who knows what will happen. Yeah, 100%. I don't think it's going to happen. I know we've all talked about it. If it does happen, I think we'll all be a little surprised. Pierce, come on, Z, sign that dotted line. Let's hope he does, man. I would like to add him back to the team. Chuck, we are always talking, taking over the away team stadium. Love it, exclamation point. Woo! Yeah, and Delta Airlines, they'll help get you there now to all the games. Until then, got my Christmas Day Delta ticket to Minneapolis, fairly cheap, exclamation point. Yeah, and there will be some fans that, I hate saying it, but they'll say, hey, I can go see the Lions play at an away game. It'll be cheaper than seeing them at Ford Field. Let that sink in. Jonathan, good morning, Coach Dan, the Duke Crew, and good morning, Jonathan, J-Mo Lions King. I don't think John Morton is a clown. I also don't think we trade for Henderson. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think we're going to trade for him. John Morton, I get there's going to be people that detract from him because he's the new guy. What have you done? What have you proven? But I also think, MCDC is an idiot. He signed him to be the offense coordinator because he believes he can achieve that goal and do right by us. Trim Reaper had thunder and lightning storms rattling my house all night. Thanks, Davenport. Yep, blame it on Davenport. DDI. Silver, good morning, Coach Everyone. Same to you. Trim Reaper, top of the morning, Silver. See, Reaper, I think releasing or trading Hooker would be a mistake. Yeah, I don't want to see him go anyway. I like what we see now so far. Just want to see him do more now. Central Scrutinizer, a great coach. I don't see us moving off Hooker. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, I guess it would have to be a deal. You just have to say, we have to take this deal, right? But maybe the coaches know something we don't. Surfer, I thought Hooker would be gone during this draft, but remember, Hendon learns slowly but surely, and that is important. Let's see if Lions have patience, but it probably is Hooker who wants to be traded. Maybe he does. Maybe he thinks he has a better opportunity to start or ascend somewhere else, but I have no idea if he would. I'm trying to think of a team that would acquire him here today that he could clearly say, yeah, I will win this starting spot. I just think that opportunity is passed with the draft. Ziggy and friends, good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke Crew, and back at you. Miles Meyer, doesn't Holmes usually keep back cash for later in the season, injuries, etc.? He does for some of that. He also wants to typically roll some of that available cap space into the following year. Chuck, I'm with. All right, you're with it. Brett, the D without a Hooker? No way! Exclamation point. I'm down with that. Phil, could Hooker be sabotaging his performance to get an opportunity to start on another team? My question is, Phil, who would acquire him in the NFL right now that you, me, and everybody in between can say, yeah, he's got a 50-50 chance of starting on that team? I just can't think of the team. Maybe somebody's out there, but I think just about every team has their starting quarterback at this point, at least who they're projecting to be the starter. Maybe that's a better way to word it. Coach Rock, I think Hooker would make some people eat crow if he got a few games under his belt. He just needs to play, but nothing wrong with that. They're doing with him just like Green Bay did with quarterback. I didn't hear trade. Yeah, correct. And for those who don't know, he drafted Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. I don't remember where they drafted him. I want to say like number 20 or something. Developed him for 4 years. Then he replaced Brett Favre. Now you're seeing it with Jordan Love. Basically did the same thing to Aaron Rodgers, etc. And you could say the Green Bay Packers have been the most stable franchise in the NFL since, 91 or 1990 when they got Brett Favre? Because before Brett Favre, they did have a good quarterback in Don Magic Man himself, Don Majikowski. Phenomenal painter, great human being, was a Detroit Lion for a little while as well. Got to chat with him a little bit. But, they probably are the model for developing quarterbacks, the Green Bay Packers, that every other NFL franchise should try to emulate. Xavier, Coach Dan, I would like to see him stay. Me too, my friend. Me too, with an exclamation point. Bo, Teddy got the call because he was better. Yeah, probably true. More experience, definitely. Rob, I don't think they will trade Hooker, but Brad and Dan know best. I'll go with that. Hookadoo. Oil thought the something, Phil. We'll find out. Mary Smith, I think the media is speaking about him to just have something to say. Still believe Hendon Hooker is going to get his chance this season. Might be. And I'm if he gets out there, I'm going to be rooting him on. I like the kid. Chuck, I'm with you, Coach. Wouldn't trade Hendrickson unless it's a big upgrade. Yeah, 100% with that, 100%. Coach Rock, I didn't hear trade Favre or Rodgers or Love, all backups for years before Green Bay. They all learned watching. Yes, they did. And to go back to Favre, he backed up. Gosh, I got to remember the kid's name now. He had perhaps the biggest cannon for a gun arm I've ever seen of an NFL quarterback. He could just rifle it all over the place. I mean, he could throw it 90 yards on a dime down the field, but I can't remember his name anymore. But, Favre backed up there before they acquired him in Green Bay. Hookadoo, my phone is messing up today. It happens, man. It happens. Cynthia, like the intro, exclamation point. Thanks for working to keep it interesting. My favorite show for sure. Thank you for that. I do what I can. Earl, good morning, Dan and Dooku. Back at you, Earl. Good to see you. It's been a hot second, my friend. Miles Margo, Hookadoo, Xavier. I would get Zedarius back because he enjoyed his time here. I hope they do get him back. Hopefully he's just taking a little time off. Silver Server, Brian Branch is great. I love that he plays here, but if I had to force a decision between him and J-Mo, I'd have to go with J-Mo for what he brings to the whole offense. I could see some people taking that argument for sure. Trim Reaper. Stephanie puts the ow in wow. Okay. Derek, the problem with trading or losing AA is how to get a plug-and-play linebacker to replace him without missing a beat. That would be one of the things this team would have to Scooby-Doo. Hookadoo, I agree. I want Z back in the Lions den. Oh, yeah, I'm down with that. Uh-oh, who's this? Jennifer Savage Fitness. Anyone is interested or wants to learn more about the peptides, you can visit my web store at jennifersavagefitness.com. Thanks for the shout-out, Robert. Hey, there you go. And yes, knowing is half the battle. Trim Reaper, Holy Alex Sanzalone, exclamation point. Phil, Coach sounds like he had 2 Mountain Dews this morning. You know, hey, sometimes you just got to energize, right? Miles Margaret, thank you, Jen Savage Fitness. Phil, Jen, you look great in your dress at the wedding. Yes, she did. She did. It was fun dress, dancing with her and just going through all the wedding festivities with her. Yes, correct. All right, Jennifer. Let's see. Panthers quarterback Perkins, NFL experience would be a good backup. Maybe if he has a real good performance in the championship game, I wouldn't be surprised to see if a team tries to bring him on in a tryout capacity. Phil, Hooker and Anslem for Cincinnati 4. We'll find out. Trim Reaper, NFC pecking order this year. Lions, Packers, Vikings, Bears. All right, I'll take that. Michigan Panther Pride, bring Perkins in from the Panthers for an opportunity. Yeah, and again, if he has a real good championship performance, because you think about all the stress and pressure of performing in a championship game, if he goes out there, does well against, arguably one of the better defenses, better teams in the UFL, that's going to help his cause for latching on with the NFL team. And he won't be the only one. It'll be guys on both sides, both teams that will have a great opportunity. The Bears is a perfect example. Don't go with a rookie quarterback. There's always the adage, do you develop them and then give them the opportunity to play? Do you throw them out there right away? For every one guy who makes it one way, there's another guy who fails that way. For every guy who makes it the other way, I mean, you guys get it. You do whatever I guess you think is best. JDC, go Lions, go Tigers. I'm down with that. Trim Reaper, Hooker may be slow learning, but he's not slow moving. I think he could be a diamond in the rough. I like the kid. I have no idea if he learns slowly or not. I know there's been some reports on that. I just have no clue. Xavier, Goff is Detroit's quarterback. I concur. Trim Reaper, we should do a Lions draft bust episode in all the dog days of the NFL. Yeah, I know somebody mentioned that. Maybe it was you yesterday, Trim, but that probably could be a 3-hour episode, unfortunately, for the Lions franchise. Gary, AA isn't going anywhere. You can take that to the bank. I hope you're right. Mary, I'm just waiting for the kickoff. So excited to see our Lions on the field, and hopefully we can be Super Bowl champions. I think we will be this year. I'm thinking positive. Positive Pete here. Brent Perkins for quarterback number 3. Oh, yeah, I'll take that. L. Mueller, can you give me some of your energy? Hey, just wake up, ready to talk with the Duke Crew on Lions Talk Live. That's what I say. JDC, Puff, woo, coffee, and Lions Talk Live. I love it. L. Mueller, J.J. McCarthy will be good. I think he's got some potential for sure. Trim Reaper, you never have 2 cups of coffee at home. Yes, incorrect. Correct with that. Jennifer, remember when they traded Hockenson to Minnesota? Lions always have a plan. They do. And I remember going on air talking to you guys about it. I want to say it was like 5 or 6 days before the trade went down. For those who don't know, I used to be a full-time reporter, mostly on sports, and a couple of guys that still work, or people, not all guys, from when I did that stuff, were talking to me and saying, yeah, they're hearing the Lions are going to pull the trigger on this. And I was like, Hockenson, really? Talked about it. And I remember people yelling at me, telling me I was full of it, yada, yada. And then those same people went silent as soon as the news hit. Carl, crush the Bears. Their fans are aggravating. Yes, they are, man. Yes, they are. JK, Brad Pimp now. He might be a pimp now. The intro looks very professional. Great job, Coach. Hey, every once in a while I mess up and do something right. Ziggy and Friends, BB is the best. I like him. I like him 100%. JK, 100 miles per hour. You got to go with that. Ziggy and Friends, Keith Hooker. Ziggy and Friends, keep Hooker. All right, we'll keep the Hooker. L. Mueller, Michigan Panthers, bring home the title. Hey, let's all go cheer him on, man. Let's go cheer him on. 100%. JK, there's a real live Black Panther sighting in northern Michigan. I've heard about that. I've heard about, just a couple different things there. So, good for the Panthers coming on back. Xavier, woo, for the Panthers, exclamation point. Trim Reaper, excuse me, I believe you have my stapler. Yes, that was a good movie too. Gary, Detroit 14, Green Bay Cheddars 10, White Queens 8, Teddy's 6. I'll go with that. That sounds about accurate, actually. Sometimes quality of life is the most important. Think Frank the Tank did what he needed to do. Yeah, and you think about it, He's battled through so many injuries and kept playing. How bad does his body have to be feeling after 3 or 4 months of not playing for him to say, I just can't do this anymore? And to me, that was the more alarming statement about all of it. He's fought through broken feet, arms, broken neck. I didn't even know that was a thing. But yeah, he played with a broken neck. For those who didn't know, I want to say it was in the Rams playoff game win or somewhere right around there. He played with a broken throat or whatever it was. And the fact that he battled through all that, and then after 4 months of not playing, said, I just physically can't go forward. That probably tells us all just how beat up his body was for Frank the Tank. JK, everyone gets paid till they can't. There you go. Mr. Detroit City. Let's go Lions, exclamation point. Keep up the great work, coach. Anytime, my friend. Glad to do it. JK, I don't know. Shepard is wrong. We'll find out. Johnny Gas Sports. Happy day, Duke crew. Let's make Monday ours. Exclamation point. How improved will the secondary be this year? I think it's going to be very, very improved. I think if you're going to look at perhaps one of the NFL's deepest secondaries in Detroit. And good to see you as always, Johnny. JDC, Johnny Gaz, the Lions will be much improved. Go Lions, exclamation point. Carl, love how Holmes already fixing the offensive line before they get old. Yeah, addressing a problem before it's a problem. Forward thinking. JK, trade talk is a bunch of lies like AI. All right, I'll go with that. Go with that, man. Carl, good morning, Coach Nduku, and back at you. Thomas, Goff is our guy, but Hooker just needs to play. I believe that talent is there to be a starter. Yeah, 100%, and just needs time to demonstrate that ability. JDC, Buddy Love and the Cheddars, there you go. Henry, say Duke crew, have a glorious day, and I'll be back in the morning. Woo! Go have a great day there, Henry. Thomas, remember Hooker was projected to be a top 3 quarterback coming out of the draft. You're not wrong with that, Thomas. Before the knee injury, he was widely regarded as a front top, say like top 15 draft pick in the NFL. Then the knee injury happened. And for those who don't know, it does impact the team's desire to get you because they know the first year on the contract is a wash. They're not getting anything out of it. So you're paying the guy millions of dollars to basically recover from the injury. Now, I like what the Lions did. I have no idea if he's going to be an awesome player or a bust because we haven't seen enough, or at least I haven't seen enough to have really any kind of opinion. JDC, getting real in the D, go Lions, exclamation point. Hoodoo. Later, Henry, may the Lions be with you. Ooh, I see what you did there. Carl, Bears fans think Jackson is a stud. We'll find out. JDC, Motor City Duke Crew. JK, Savage, OF, all right? Kerry, Teddy got the call because of experience, not because he's better. That's what I tend to think. I've been wrong before, though. JDC, tick, tick, tick. Everybody's ticking away. Phil, doesn't Perkins back up Stafford on the Rams? That I don't know. Let's see. Mike Dick here. Ben Johnson, Coach of the Year. Maybe. We'll find out. Check Lakem, Lions' current roster reminds me of the early development of the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 70s. 11 Hall of Famers drafted. They did have some phenomenal drafts back then. You are correct with that. JDC, oh boy, here we go. I'll agree with that. Carl, Jaden Daniels, Nix, and Penix are all better than Caleb. Oh, it might end up being that way. We'll have to wait and see. JK, poor Bears fans' dreams. Hey, you got a dream, right? JDC, let the war games begin. Hey, we're getting close to the season for sure. JDC, go Lions, go Tigers. Black Jared Jones, over 200 watching, 60 likes. Come on, Duke Crew, hit that like button. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you would, please. But let's see, Mike Ditka very poor. Bears, exclamation point. Lions are the only team in the NFC not to see a Super Bowl. Poor Lions. Yeah, but while that may be true, Mike Ditka, let's not forget, the Lions are the 12th winningest franchise in the NFL when it comes to championship. So yeah, I get the Chicago Bears do have more championships than us, but it also means 20 other teams have less championships than us. Never forget that, my friend. Hookadoo. Don't you feel sorry for the Bears fans as you making a new bearskin rug out of them? Hey, it seems like we do that yearly now. We turn the Bears into bear cheddar soup. Thomas, does anyone think it could be possible that Rags now takes 1 year off and comes back in 26? It's possible. We'll have to wait and see. JK laughing. Remember, what up, though, Johnny Gas? We'll find out. Phil, Lions offense was held back by Johnson's weaknesses. That might be accurate. Xavier, Frank did his job. Leave him alone because he was an Iron Man. He was, man. And now, hey, let him go on to the next chapter of his life. Trim Reaper, have a great day, coach and crew. Woo! Back at you. Dick Isfair, Ben Johnson, the Bears are not worried about the Lions. Well, I don't know why they won it. When's the last time they beat the Lions? Mike Dick Isfair, Lions 9-8. So what are the Bears going to be? 2 and what? 15? All right. Phil, how many times did we shake our head during coaches play-by-play wondering what Ben Johnson was doing? I know I had some questions about it for sure. Ben Johnson consistently, Phil and Kerry. Gaz, man, back on Lions Talk Live. I'm down with that. Look at the Bears going to tie last year's record 5-12. I think they have a chance to be worse than that, actually. Let's see. Brent Caleb catching passes in camp. Brian Branch is waiting for that. I hope so. JDC Mike Dickens Fury Magic 8 Ball says Detroit Lions Super Bowl bound. I like the way you're thinking. Central Scrutinizer, have a blessed day, everyone. One pride, go Lions, and go have a great day. Phil, Ben needs to scream at players. He's that weak. Maybe so, and they might scream back. Has bear chili the other day. Yum. Yeah, bear chili is good, especially with some hot sauce. Of course, I think hot sauce on everything makes it better. Floyd, how about them Tigers? Question mark. Detroit sports are back resurgent. Yeah, I'll agree with that 1,000%. JK had Trimmer, Bo, happy trails, Dew Crew. See ya. We'll see you next time. Xavier, Coach Dan, you are awesome. No, you are awesome. The Dew Crew is awesome. Exclamation point. Woo! Go with that. JDC, happy trails, go Lions victory. We'll see you then, my friend. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here, get you on over to the rest of your day. If there is breaking news later today, I'll get it to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, if you would be so kind before checking out, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. Take care. Be a good human being. Do something kind for someone you don't know. And we'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.
Excuse me, sir, would you... Donations to Reverend Moon? Jews for Jesus? Read about Jehovah's Witness? How about Buddhism? How Jerry's kids? Oh, yeah. Scientology? Or nuclear power?